we're back with another travel hack video. What up everyone, my name is Stephen Flores and welcome to Stephen Flores Travel. I hope you all had a great weekend and I hope you all have a great week ahead. As you can tell by the title of this video, we're going to be talking about something really fun, I think. Hopefully this video is fun for y'all and informative and all of that. I know because of the pandemic we can't really go outside and do stuff like that, but when we do finally get to go outside, I hope this video can serve as a really good guide for you guys. Especially because, you know, a lot of people like dream of going to Europe and like traveling around Europe, and if you're going to be doing that, this is one of the best modes of transportation you can take. But before we get to that, I just want to say if you like this video, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up and comment down below. Also, don't forget to follow me on all my social media platforms. That's Stephen Flores for Facebook and that's Stephen J. Flores for Twitter and Instagram. And if you like this video and want to see more videos like this video, don't forget to subscribe and click the bell for me, will ya? So yeah, without further ado, let's move on with the video. So in our last travel video, we talked about airlines and planes and all of that. Specifically airlines and planes for when you're traveling within Europe. But now we're going to go to what is probably the most famous and the most used mode of transportation in Europe, and that is the train. If you guys haven't seen my airline video, I will link it down below and I'll put a card somewhere up here so you guys can click on it. I'm gonna start off with telling you why the trains are so useful. When you're going short distances where it's too far to take a car to but too short to take a plane to, this is probably the mode of transportation you're gonna take, either this or the bus. But trains usually are more reliable in the sense that they usually leave on time, they arrive on time, usually, not all the time. I mean, if you're in Germany, you're probably gonna get like really on time train schedules, but if it's like anywhere else in Europe, you know, you could get a delay and stuff like that. But I have to say, trains are really useful. Usually they go pretty much everywhere. I know, like, for example, the train system in France goes pretty much to every major city, and it's just a really fast, convenient way to like travel from one place to another, especially if you don't want to take a really long bus ride. So now I'm going to talk to you guys about the pros and cons of taking the train, and we're going to start with the pros. Riding the train is more relaxed and comfortable than most other modes of transportation, especially if you take the sleeper trains. You know, if you take a sleeper train, like I took a sleeper train once from Paris all the way down to Nice in France. And I had a really comfortable bed and I was able to sleep the whole night. Now compare that to taking the bus where you'd have to like sleep upright or like lean against the window and you're like beside a stranger. Or even compared to a plane, because the planes you can recline the seat but you can't recline it too much. Among the three main modes of transportation, the train is probably the most comfortable, and because of that, it's also the most relaxing form of transportation. It's nice seeing the countryside go by as you're on a train, or see the mountains and lakes when you're going through trains in like Switzerland or Austria and stuff like that. One advantage of taking the train too, which is the same as taking the bus, is that it saves you on time and on cost, because you could choose to take an overnight train, and if you take an overnight train, that means you don't have to pay for accommodation for that night because your accommodation is the train. I found that really useful, especially for the train and the bus. It's really useful, and it's probably one of the ways that I learned to save while I was in Europe, is to take trains and buses so that you can like save for one night's accommodation. And usually trains will arrive pretty much at the center of the city, so it's easy to go to your hostel or your hotel from there, compared to like if you landed through an airplane. You gotta go from the airport, which is usually on the outskirts of the city, all the way to the city. So it can be kind of a hassle and you do have to pay extra for it. So yeah, there's just another example of why you should take the train. Also, trains have the best amenities. Like I said, they have the most comfortable beds and the most comfortable seats usually. Depends on what kind of train you take, but if you take like the upper class trains, it should be pretty like chill the whole time. And finally, they are reliable. Based on my experience, trains are the ones that leave the most on time. Usually airlines, you're about 20 minutes delayed. Usually for buses, you're about 10-20 minutes delayed too. But trains usually arrive when they're supposed to arrive and leave when they're supposed to leave. So it's very good. Now we're gonna go to the cons. Now, unless you buy a U-Rail or you buy tickets when it's like heavily discounted, trains can be quite expensive. Like I remember paying for trains for like 50 euros, 60 euros. And remember, I was getting flights for 30 euros. So, you know, sometimes it's just the more expensive option, especially when you compare it to the bus. And like I said, trains don't usually get delayed, but when they do, sometimes they get delayed pretty bad. My last video was talking about how I was delayed like 8 hours on a train from Paris to Rennes. So yeah, that was a really good example of how like awry things could go if you take the train. So now I'm gonna list down the countries where I think you should travel by rail, and those countries are Austria and Switzerland, because the views are beautiful. If you look out and you see lakes and mountains and all of that, it's just amazing. Plus, they don't take seat reservations, so you can just hop onto the train and like you're good. The Benelux also is a really nice place to take the train. That's Belgium, Netherlands, and Luxembourg. We took a train from Paris Paris to Brussels, and then Brussels to Amsterdam, then Amsterdam back to Paris. And it was really convenient, really fast, and you know, all of that. So it's worth it to take it in the Benelux. Another good place is Italy. Train was our primary mode of transportation in Italy. I took one from Venice to Florence, and it was pretty good. Seats were comfortable, very nice journey. You can see a lot on the outside. You know, what more could you ask for? Now, where is it not worth it to take the train? I have two countries specifically where I don't think it's worth it to take the train, and one of them is Spain, just because Spain is so big. To get from Barcelona to Madrid, usually flights are cheaper or buses are cheaper, and it's not really worth the price of the train because the train will take a couple of hours when you could just fly for a lower price. And the other one is France, mostly because you have to have a seat reservation if you want to travel on that train, and that usually makes it kind of hard to travel. And even if you have the Eurail, for example, like what I had before, you still gotta pay 5 to 10 euros every time you book a train because you gotta get the seat reservation in. So yeah, if you're in France, you might want to consider, you know, taking like the bus or something like that. Now, how do the trains differ per country? I already mentioned one, and that is seat reservations. Some countries will require you to have seat reservations, other countries won't. To the countries that do require you to have seat reservations, you gotta pay an extra fee even if you have a Eurail pass and all of that because you're gonna pay for the specific seat. But for countries that don't, like Switzerland and Austria, you can just basically hop on a train if you have the Eurail and go wherever you want, which I find to be really, really convenient. So it depends on where you're going and where you're staying and all of that, whether it'd be more worth it to take the train or the bus. But yeah, so just do your prior research online and you'll be able to find out which ones require seat reservation, which ones don't require seat reservation. Another one is the difference between local trains and non-local trains. Usually non-local trains will not require any seat reservations, but they're gonna make a lot of stops. Like for example, we took a local train from Belgium to the Netherlands and it took about like 10 to 15 stops, whereas if you took the direct train it would just take one stop and you'd get there a lot faster. So for our sample train company, we're gonna look at SNCF in France. SNCF provides services throughout France. They go to every major French city. Usually they have some offers here such as this, which provides budget-friendly rail transport between Paris and Brussels. Also, they have this thing where if you leave at the last minute you can save 50% off on your ticket, which I think is pretty good. So it really helps if you want to save money to look at the official websites for all of these train companies. But what other deals can you get aside from the ones available on these websites? Where there is one thing called the Eurail Pass or the Interrail Pass. I used to have one. As you can see, they give you a Eurail map and a Eurail Pass guide whenever you book your Eurail Pass. And essentially what it is that it allows you travel, unlimited travel, by train in certain countries for a certain number of days. You can go 10 days in France only, or 1 month in the entire Europe if you wanted to. I got a few Eurail passes. I remember getting one for like 2 months for the entire Europe, and then I had some for France and Spain and Portugal only. Then I had one for France and Italy. So you know, depending on where you want to go, you could consider getting a Eurail pass because it saves a lot of money. But then again, just because you have a Eurail pass doesn't mean you get to jump on board the train anytime you want. Only certain countries will allow you to do that. Some countries such as Spain and France, you'll still have to get a seat reservation with a ticket, but from what I remember, it's only 10 euros. But yeah, so consider getting a Eurail pass. I found it to be worth it myself. So, you know, for when you guys are in Europe. And this is just a sample of what train tickets actually look like, if you can see. And you're gonna be issued these if you buy your tickets at the train station. They usually have a shop at the train station where you can buy tickets, so just keep an eye out for that. One really good thing about the train too is that you don't really need to buy early. I think for most of these tickets, I probably bought it the day before because there are just so many seats on a train that usually you can book it last minute and there's still space. Which is an added benefit for you guys if you're really going backpacking in Europe. Usually if you're going backpacking, you tend to book things last minute, so you know, train might be the way for you guys. But there's one thing I want to talk about, and that's security on trains. I'm gonna tell you guys a really bad horror story that I was actually gonna save for another video, but you know, I might as well give some context now. I actually had my bag stolen on a train. I remember when I said we took the local train from Belgium to the Netherlands, since apparently anybody can get on it. Security is not really that good, and I remember I put my bag on top of me, I fell asleep, I looked up, it was gone. So you really have to be careful with your stuff on trains. You know, always double check that you have stuff. If you have like those things that like hook your bag onto like railings and stuff, I suggest that you get one. You can never be too careful when you're in Europe, especially like in these local trains where anybody can get on. Just always have presence of mind and all of that. So yes, that is the video for today. I hope this was informational and I hope it helped you like have a better understanding of how the train system in Europe works. What are other travel guides you want to see? I got a few lined up, but what exactly would you guys want to see? I want to hear about it. Comment them down below. And yes, I will see you guys on Friday for our next video. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked it, click subscribe button and like button down there. My last videos are to my left and to my right and down the description on my social media stuff. Like me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram. Till next time, guys. See ya.